Australia honours the late Prince Philip with a 41-gun salute in Canberra. Leaders at home and abroad pay tribute to the life of the Duke of Edinburgh.
His presence and service are reassurance, a reminder of the stability we so often need in a world that can be so uncertain.
The pandemic forces changes to the protocols surrounding the death of a senior member of the royal family. And WA's Midwest and Gascoyne regions prepare for the arrival of tropical cyclone Saroja tomorrow night. Hello, welcome to ABC News. I'm Lorna Dunkley. It has been close to 24 hours since Buckingham Palace announced the death of Prince Philip. These are the live pictures from outside Windsor Castle, where the Duke of Edinburgh is lying in rest. It has just gone 9 o'clock in the morning there. Gun salutes will take place in cities across the UK later today, including London, Edinburgh, Cardiff and Belfast. Royal Navy ships at sea will also fire the salute in honour of the Duke, who served as a Royal Naval officer during World War II. The royal family are not at Buckingham Palace, but it does serve as the centre of the family, and people are gathering there, have gathered to lay flowers and pay their respects, even though they are being asked not to, but flags are at half-mast on all government and royal buildings around the country and indeed around the Commonwealth. Details of the 99-year-old's funeral will be released in the days ahead, but we know it will take place at St George's Chapel. The Duke of Edinburgh was at the Queen's side for 70 years and, in her words, was her strength and stay. As we saw, flags are at half-mast across the UK and the Commonwealth as the world mourns his loss and pays tribute to his decades of service. Marion Ives reflects on a remarkable life.
Of regal blood, Philip had a far from carefree upbringing. He was born on the Greek island of Corfu into a royal family imported from Denmark. A military coup in 1922 forced his family into exile. He grew up in France and Germany before being taken in by the Mountbattens when he was 7 years old. He saw active service during the Second World War. Then, when the dashing naval officer returned to London, he and Elizabeth were secretly engaged.
This is the moment which the teeming millions have been awaiting for months.
In 1947, they married in Westminster Abbey.
I, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary,
take thee, Philip,
take thee, Philip,
to my wedded husband.
to my wedded husband.
When King George VI died, the couple was in Kenya on the way to Australia. Elizabeth became Queen.
I, Philip, will become your liege man of life and limb, and of earthly worship. And faith and truth I will bear unto you, to live and die against all manner of folk, so help me God.
With the Queen's coronation, Philip's life changed forever. His naval career was over. He was now His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen's consort. He became a moderniser at the heart of the British monarchy. Prince Philip was the first member of the royal family to give a TV interview, and in 1957, the first to present his own television show.
40 minutes to get round the world.
He was a champion of the early environmental movement, but in his words, not a bunny hugger. In 1956, he established the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. While giving only a handful of interviews over the years, Prince Philip has been a gift to the media, with his often indiscreet comments.
He caused something of furore when he asked a group of Aboriginal dancers if they still threw their spears at each other.
When Princess Diana died, her sons were uncertain about walking behind her coffin. Philip told William, "If you don't walk, I think you'll regret it later. If I walk, will you walk with me?" On his 90th birthday in 2011, the Duke said he would slow down, but it would be another 6 years before his official retirement. one of his final public engagements to hand over his role as Colonel-in-Chief of an infantry regiment to the Duchess of Cornwall. Fiercely independent, Philip was still driving at 97 until he pulled out on a busy road outside the Queen's country estate Sandringham and was hit by a car that had right of way. He blamed sun glare for the mistake, but surrendered his licence a few weeks later after being photographed driving without a seatbelt. Despite all the controversies, he said he'd always done his bit as half of one of the most celebrated and enduring partnerships of modern times. The Queen said, simply, she couldn't have done it without him.
He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years.
There has been a 41-gun salute outside Parliament House to mark the passing of Prince Philip. The Australian Federation Guard, made up of members of the Royal Air Force, the Navy and the Army, fired the 41-gun salute. It follows the British tradition of firing 21 rounds for a royal salute and an additional 20 rounds when fired from a royal park. Flags are flying at half-mast across the country, and Australians are being invited to sign an online condolence book via the Prime Minister and Cabinet's website. Current and former Australian leaders have remembered Prince Philip as a man of duty and service with a sharp wit. Prince Philip met several prime ministers during his many visits to Australia, and today some have reflected on their meetings with him. Political reporter Stephanie Boris has more.
The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has extended Australia's sympathies and condolences to the Queen following the passing of Prince Philip. Scott Morrison has reflected on Prince Philip's life today, saying he's a man of honour, service, duty and loyalty. Mr Morrison has noted Prince Philip's service to Australia through being a patron of some 50 organisations in Australia, and of course his involvement in the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme. There's about 775,000 Australians that have gone through that award program, which focuses on voluntary service, outdoor skills and leadership too. The Prime Minister today has signed a condolence book, and he's reflected on Prince Philip's life following news of his passing, saying the world has lost a towering figure.
The Duke's life was one of duty and of service, of loyalty and of honour. Memories of him will, of course, tell stories of his candour and a unique and forceful and authentic personality. But above all, he was a man who was steadfast, who could be relied upon, always standing by his Queen.
Prince Philip visited Australia more than 20 times, and during those visits he met with Prime Ministers, opposition leaders and other MPs and senators. A number of former and current politicians have reflected on their memories of Prince Philip today, and there's been a general theme of these politicians saying that he had a great knowledge of Australian politics, he had a great dedication to service, but he also had a cheeky sense of humour.
His mannerisms and his demeanour went down well in Australia. He was a great combination of dignity, tradition and informality, and it's quite a tricky balance.
He struck me as someone who was engaged, who was friendly and wanted to, shake up the rather stuffy company that he had found himself in.
He worked himself into that job. The job had no definition, but he made it a position of great outreach on a whole range of subjects and topics which were of value both to the British community and to the Commonwealth.
Flags are being flown at half-mast across Australia to mark the passing of Prince Philip, and Australians are being encouraged to write a condolence message on an online book which is available via pmc.gov.au. Tomorrow, the Prime Minister, along with his wife Jenny, as well as the Governor-General and the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian, they will attend a church service in Sydney. This is a regular Sunday service. However, the Prime Minister and the Governor-General will pray for the Queen. A formal memorial service for Prince Philip cannot be held in Australia until final arrangements are made in London.
Well, the Anglican Church says a memorial service will be held at St Peter's Cathedral in Adelaide on Friday. Primate of the Anglican Church, Jeff Smith, made the announcement in a statement on Prince Philip's death. He says throughout Prince Philip's life, he supported Her Majesty the Queen with a steadfast loyalty while maintaining a candour and individualism that made him an authentic figure across the Commonwealth. I pray that his life of service will be an inspiration to people today and into the future, and that the Queen and the rest of the royal family will know the presence and comfort of God at this difficult time. The British High Commissioner to Australia, Vicky Trudell, has reflected on the life of the Duke of Edinburgh. She remembers a man she says was the same in public and in private.
I think for everyone who has a public profile, there is a responsibility and a burden that you carry in the public domain. But of course, you also have your private life and your private self. And I think I was deeply privileged, particularly at the time of CHOGM and the state visit in Malaysia, to see both those sides. But at the core was the same man. His care, his consideration, his dedication was the same in private as it was on show in public. And those moments that I saw of, his real consideration, whether or not she was tired, looking after her, that spoke to the deep connection that the two of them had. So, he was a father. He is a grandfather, a great-grandfather. People that I have met who have known him see that core to him in public and private life. And he had a great sense of humour, to try to lighten the moment for people who might be feeling uncomfortable because they were not used to being in the company of royals. My eyewitness account was a man who was deeply dedicated to public service. I saw him at Her Royal Highness's side throughout the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting and the associated state visit. His first consideration was always for her and how he supported her, and the events that he undertook on his own. He saw this as an absolute vital part of the role, to be engaged with the whole of the Commonwealth, with every nation, every visit that he made to every Commonwealth country, some on his own, some with Her Royal Highness, to meet the people in all walks of life. And of course, one of his great passions was supporting young people, hence the genesis, the idea he had of creating the Duke of Edinburgh Award, to give young people an experience that would help shape and form them to be the adults that could believe and have confidence in themselves. And also, as he travelled around and he saw the different countries and the different challenges at the different points of development, a genuine commitment to play his part as a member of the Commonwealth family.
Well, as we just heard from Vicky Trudell there's no question that one of Prince Philip's greatest contributions to public life was the scheme that he established back in 1956, the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. At the time, the scheme was seen as a radical and pioneering effort, encouraging young people to explore new challenges, take risks and show initiative. The scheme has enriched the lives of millions of young people, even during this pandemic.
The Duke of Edinburgh's Award. Activities, expeditions and adventures. For millions of people, it has been part of growing up. It aims to give young people from all backgrounds a sense of achievement outside of the classroom through field trips and volunteering.
How many times do you think you got lost?
For these pupils at secondary school in the heart of Manchester, the experience has been life-changing.
Like when you go on Duke of Edinburgh, it's just a whole different environment. It's like green everywhere, like as far as you can see.
Even signing up for it was a bit out of my comfort zone, because prior to it I was quite shy and reserved and didn't really talk to many people in my year.
I've been working for a charity shop in my community, and I think definitely it's been a very interesting. You get to meet lots of new people, get to talk to lots of interesting people, hear their story.
Had fun and made so many friends without, I don't know how I'd have gotten through my high school years, honestly. It's really, really good.
It began in 1956 and grew out of the Duke's own experiences at Gordonston. The award's ethos was rooted in the philosophy of the school's headmaster, Kurt Hahn, who felt that education should be about more than just academic achievement.
It was based on Hahn's theory that you shouldn't be a specialist in any one thing, and he felt that you shouldn't concentrate entirely on academic education. His philosophy was that if you could get young people to succeed in any area of activity, that mere sensation of success would spread over into a lot of others.
When the scheme first started, it was considered quite revolutionary, but it also had its detractors.
I think a lot of organisations thought it was going to be a rival. The Scouts, the Guides, Outward Bound Trust, all kinds of people thought, oh dear, here comes another youth organisation to rival us. The cleverness was that it was a programme which was complementary and not competitive, so anyone could do it.
The programme has moved with the times. It started as a boys-only group, and even when girls joined, there was a gender divide.
Can you tell me how you'll be able to get instructors and adjudicators to teach things like marriage and makeup and all the other new schemes you've mentioned in the pamphlet?
Oh, makeup we've got no problem. Marriage might be a bit more difficult.
From helping at food banks to vaccination centres, during the pandemic, many young people have volunteered through the scheme.
Are you here for the vaccine, madam? All right. I think the Duke of Edinburgh is fantastic to gain, especially independence. Everyone can do it. Everyone's helping the community. Everyone's being active. Everyone's learning a new skill. And I think the inclusion of the youth is fantastic.
OK, guys, ready to go?
Throughout the decades, the awards have been based on physical activity, skills, service and expedition. What you choose to do in each category is almost unlimited. Then there are 3 levels, gold, silver and bronze.
It's his vision and energy that created the organisation that enabled many, many young people to be able to access these development opportunities. And he was an absolute sort of stalwart champion for young people's sort of opportunities and development right the way through until he retired. While this is it's an incredibly sort of sad moment to reflect on his passing, we are incredibly optimistic about the fact that we can build on his incredible legacy, and the award will still be going strong many, many years from now.
Its popularity and success has spread across the globe, with more than 140 countries taking part. The scheme that bears his name will perhaps be his greatest legacy, a testament to the ideas and outlook of the Duke of Edinburgh.
With the confirmation of Prince Philip's death last night, the protocols and traditions surrounding the passing of a member of the royal family are now underway. But the UK's COVID-19 lockdown means that the traditions have been altered somewhat. Prince Philip's body will remain at Windsor rather than being moved to London, and there will be no large-scale street procession. But as Jeremy Fernandez explains, there are still a number of key events between now and the Prince's funeral.
With the confirmation of Prince Philip's death, what's known as Operation Fourth Bridge is now underway. It's named after the suspension bridge that connects the cities of Edinburgh and Perth in Scotland and lays out a period of official protocols culminating in the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral in 8 days. The royal family will officially be in mourning for a month. All royal engagements for the next 8 days are cancelled. The exterior lights on Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle will now remain extinguished until after the funeral. Flags across the UK and the Commonwealth are at half-mast, with the exception of the Royal Standard. It's never at half-mast because it represents the monarchy, which is continuous. There'll be a 41-minute gun salute from all 14 landing stations across the UK and up to 20 of the Royal Navy's fleet. The public won't be allowed to see his body, and unlike the Queen, he won't lie in state. 8 days after his death, the coffin arrives at the west steps of St George's Chapel to begin the hour-long funeral service conducted by the Dean of Windsor and the Archbishop of Canterbury. Prince Philip's children, Prince Charles, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward and Princess Anne will all be present. For the first 20 minutes, no watch is kept over the coffin by officials. It's the Duke's children who keep watch. The Duke of Edinburgh approved this service himself in 2003. At 7 p.m. will be the final act. There'll be a private interment service attended by the royal family, at which there'll be no cameras. The Duke will be buried at Frogmore Gardens in Windsor on the castle grounds alongside other royals, including Queen Victoria and Prince Albert.
Looking at other news this evening, and Australia's top doctors have reaffirmed their confidence in AstraZeneca's safety and efficacy, despite the link to rare blood clotting cases around the world. Immunology and infectious disease specialist at Sydney University, Professor Robert Boy, says offering Pfizer to younger Australians is the best approach to mitigate concerns.
We had a very small risk, maybe 1 in 200,000 of a bad clot, which 1 in a million vaccine recipients of the AZ might have died from. We don't like risks from vaccines at all. They should be as safe as they possibly can, and we've got a safer alternative that we've moved to. The trials are done in tens of thousands of people. The risk is more like 1 in hundreds of thousands, so you can't find it in a trial. You have to do the real-world experience, the post-marketing surveillance, and that's how we know that the risk is evident but tiny. It's fantastic the government's already procured more doses of Pfizer and have been in negotiation with other companies. Novavax is coming in 3 or 4 months as well. So we are still the lucky country. We still have an incredibly low rate of the disease. We're still observing the appropriate social distancing, etc. But we can get on with the vaccination with the alternatives that are being put in place. The -70 freezer has been an issue and a reason why the vaccine's mainly been rolled out in cities and major hospitals. However, once the product is thawed to a refrigerator temperature, it can still be used for hours and in some respects for days. So there is a means forward for using Pfizer a bit more widely in rural and regional areas. I think it's more roll-aboutable than people thought it was, and we're learning more about its stability and able to be used in the fridge, provided it's kept within the appropriate temperatures that others are for a short period of time.
The New South Wales coroner has received an application to seek a fresh inquest into the fatal 1979 Luna Park ghost train fire. Teresa O'Sullivan says she will now be able to consider whether a fresh inquest into the matter should go ahead. The blaze, which claimed the lives of 6 children and 1 adult, was blamed on an electrical fault by police at the time. But an ABC investigation revealed fresh evidence through overlapping accounts from witnesses. Communities on Western Australia's mid-west coast are being warned to prepare for Cyclone Seroja. The cyclone's expected to intensify to a Category 3 tonight, but will weaken to a Category 2 before it crosses the coast between Carnarvon and Jurien Bay on Sunday night. A blue alert's in place for anyone south of Cape Cuvier to Lancelin, with people urged to prepare for dangerous weather. Authorities are telling residents and tourists to take all the warnings very seriously.
To the community in the Midwest and the Gascoyne region of Western Australia, my message to you as Emergency Services Minister is to take this seriously. This is a very serious situation. The potential for widespread devastation is high. We hope that we can get through these next few days without loss of life and without serious property damage, but we need to work on a basis of worst-case scenario. So I'm urging everyone in the Midwest and the Gascoyne to take the warning seriously. This is a rare event. It's very rare to get a cyclone of this magnitude, or indeed any cyclone, to threaten the city of Geraldton. Indeed, it's been decades since we've seen cyclonic winds in Geraldton. So we have a community that's not used to cyclones like our communities in the northwest are. We have properties that aren't built to withstand cyclones like communities in the northwest are. So we need to take this very seriously. You need to listen to warnings, you need to listen to updates, you need to do what emergency services ask or direct you to do. If a police officer directs you, do what they say. If you are living in a structure like a tent or a caravan or a shanty type accommodation, it is not fit for purpose and you will not be protected to the degree that you need to be protected. In that case, the advice is to seek safe accommodation. That could involve going to friends' accommodation, or it could involve going to an evacuation centre. And as the Commissioner mentioned, those evacuation centres, one large one is being established this afternoon and others will follow. We've got many emergency first responders, both career and volunteer officers in the field, in getting ready for really a tough couple of days. They will be out there putting their lives on the line. So to ask the community to make their job easier and follow directions, follow advice, maintain your communication links with online information and emergency broadcasts, and please take this cyclone Saroja very seriously.
On the satellite, a front is generating showers in southern Victoria and Tasmania. Tropical cyclone Saroja and ex-tropical cyclone Odette are causing storms and wind to increase in northwestern WA, while another trough is triggering a few showers and storms in the northern tropics. Looking around the country for tomorrow, starting in Queensland, mostly sunny across the state, with temperatures in the low 30s in the north, cooler in the south. To New South Wales, cool conditions for the south, with snow forecast for the Alps, sunny and mild in the north. A partly cloudy day for the ACT with light winds. A cool day for Victoria, showers and cool in the south, mostly sunny in the north. To Tasmania, mostly sunny in the northeast, showers elsewhere, snow and wind forecast for the highlands. South Australia can expect a cloudy and cool day in the southeast, a mostly sunny and mild day elsewhere. To WA, and showers are expected in the southwest, showers and storms in the northwest, mostly sunny and very warm in the northeast. To the Northern Territory, and showers will increase in the northwest, mostly sunny and warm everywhere else. Looking ahead to Monday's forecast for the capital cities, Brisbane and Sydney, mostly sunny. Canberra, frost and then sunny. Melbourne and Hobart, a possible shower. Adelaide, mostly sunny with light winds. Rain in Perth and a possible thunderstorm for Darwin. And that is the latest from ABC News. I'm Lorna Dunkley. Stay with us. Coming up next is Close of Business.
Why do you think they